All right, we're live. How are you?
Yeah, doing good. Long time no stream with you. It's been
Yeah, yeah,
a minute.
yeah. It's been a while. I've missed it. And I think this will be a good one. So I have a string of questions I want to ask you. Should I just go for it?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So let's say that I don't know. You get stranded somewhere on some land. Plane crashes, or you go in the river, or in the ocean. You're in a raft, and that raft just takes you to some land you're not familiar with. And there's humans on this land, but it's not anywhere you're familiar with, so there's no laws that tell you what you can and can't do. So this is strictly a moral slash intuition question. If you are just leaning against a tree and you happen to witness two humans where one of them is clearly going to go and kill the other one, and you have no other information except you can magically know that person's going to kill that person, but you don't have any other information of like, maybe they're doing it because they know the other person's going to kill them first. You don't know if they're doing it out of revenge or if they, whatever. If you are going to see somebody about to kill somebody and you're going to know for sure they're about to kill them, and you had the ability to kill them, and you know that you would have no legal issues, you would have no physical issues, nobody would try to kill you back or anything, would you do it?
Yeah.
Cool, me too. Um, Okay, and so I can't remember if we've talked about predator culling much before, but similar question. You're just in an area where there's no laws on animals or anything, and you see a bunch of zebras and you see a lion approaching. You can magically know that lion is going to kill one of the zebras. You have a gun. With this situation, you don't know how many lions there are in the world. You don't have any more information than you currently have of, at what point would killing too many mess with the ecosystem. But it's just a one-off question. You see the lion, you see the zebras, you know lion's going to kill zebra. Do you kill the lion?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then this brings me to my question. Do you think it's immoral to eat salmon? Sorry,
Um
obviously that's a stupid question. It's not immoral to eat salmon. Do you think it's immoral to kill salmon and then consume it after you kill it?
um probably mm, at least in a vacuum it's probably fine.
Okay.
I don't know how you'd actually do it in like I think there's a lot of complications with like how you would catch them and not affect other fish and not, you know. But
Okay. So
yeah.
salmon, I didn't know this. I don't know if you knew this, but I found out that like on average, I think it's on average, or at least they easily can get to this size, can weigh 100 pounds. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a whole
uh,
pile.
but okay, so I've seen some people do a thing called spearfishing. And obviously, you have to be very privileged to be able to do this, having the snorkel gear and all this stuff. But so if you can be underwater and you can identify a fish, I don't know if people spearfish salmon, but I know they do tuna and some other stuff like that. Um, for anybody listening, the reason I'm bringing up salmon is because I happen to know the majority of salmon diet is eating other fish. They eat other smaller fish. This might be the same with all large fish, and it might be the same with pretty much all fish. But I'm just getting specific with salmon. We could talk about tuna as well if tuna eat small fish. But the idea is that it's immoral to kill something that can feel, but maybe it's not immoral to kill something that kills something that feels. Um, I figured I better make that clear to the anybody else, because even though me and you have never talked about this topic with fish, I think we both know exactly what we're talking about without getting in detail. Are we on the same page there?
Yeah. I guess well my question with salmon is cuz you probably know more about salmon than I do, but are they so the type of fish that they eat, are they do those fish eat other fishes? Because like oftentimes fish will eat other fish, right? But the
Hmm.
fish that they eat also eat other fish.
Yeah,
So it
let's
kind
find
of
out.
like kind of like balances out. Or like actually maybe actually like a net good to have them exist. But
Oh, yeah, yeah, that could be. Okay. Okay. What do salmon eat? Salmon, blah, 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 blah. Six of amphibians, fish, they strictly. Okay, strictly carnivore, so they don't even eat anything else. Herring. Okay, they eat herring. So let me see. What do herring eat? This will be interesting. Because I would assume that all fish eat other fish, but at some point it'll just be the small fish maybe eat insects. And I think we both agree that insects matter a lot less than non insect sentient beings. Fish belong to. Okay. Herring eat includes herring description. When I look up what herring eat, all it tells me is what things eat herring. Okay,
okay,
so we
interesting.
can talk in hypotheticals as well. But so yeah,
Yeah.
let's say that herring eat insects only, and they eat 10 a day, and where salmon eat like 3 herring a day. So they're eating more sentient beings, assuming those insects are sentient. But I don't know if you ever answered that question that I put in different forms on YouTube, but asked like, do you care more about like a chicken or 1,000 ants or whatever? Is there a certain level of insects where you start caring equally about insects as others?
That's- Yes, in a way. Like so, I care about like total suffering or total utility, not necessarily like. So you could have a certain amount of insects that would then become more valuable than a chicken. Um, I just don't know if insects are sentient or not. But
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, no, that's a fair point. Contrarian 420 says when he searched it that the herring eat plankton, small fish larvae, and other small organisms. I don't know much about plankton, but the larva would be not sentient. But then we get into a fish abortion question. So we'll skip that. We'll skip that one. But that's awesome. Thanks. I wish I knew Contrarian 420's name. You should tell me if you want to. Um, I've been chatting with this guy for about a year now. But anyways, okay, so fish. So let's say you're spearfishing. You're underwater. You have snorkel gear. You have this thing, and in the same sense that me and you can tell the difference between a chicken and a cow. Let's just say somebody would know. Okay, this is a salmon. They shoot it with the spear gun, and well, first of all, just let's say they were shooting it with a spear gun because they wanted to protect herring the same way you might want to protect zebra. That alone, let's ignore the eating aspect of it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, assuming like yeah, I think it would be fine at least in like a not on a large scale, but at least like uh in like a vacuum or just like like a once off thing. Um,
What
a
if you
large scale
could
might get
take
more complicated. Yeah.
what if you could take out every single salmon on Earth and it wouldn't affect the ecosystem in any way?
Oh yeah, then done easy. Yeah.
Okay, so you so
Yeah, my
you're
worry is the ecosystem. Yeah.
you're likely right, and you're assuming that the larger scale, the more it'll mess with the ecosystem. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, And also, there's complicated things where if somebody were to just go to the store and get salmon, they might be getting salmon that was caught with a net that drags across the ocean and destroys a whole ton of shit. So
Yeah.
so it definitely has to be in some kind of a vacuum. Um, gotcha. Okay, interesting. And then I'm guessing, of course, the eating part has doesn't matter to you in any way.
Yeah.
If you kill a lion that's about to kill a zebra, or you kill a salmon that's about to kill a herring, you could eat the lion, you could eat the salmon. It really doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It just depends on if it was immoral or not to kill.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Okay. So okay.
I get
Yeah.
can
What's
I
up?
yeah, I guess like just my overall main worry with the whole like predator culling is that I think like on paper, like when you look at it in like in a vacuum, it's obviously like correct. Um and even in like the sort of the end goal is also sort of correct. Like the end goal of like um reducing nature as much as possible, reducing the wild as much as possible and stuff like that. But where I worry is like the stuff in between, and I don't know if we can actually get enough people on board to actually like um find ways to protect like the ecosystem without um like I think um before we get to the end goal, like we're gonna increase like large amounts of suffering, just because you kill predators here, and then it affects the animals around the ecosystem, and they starve, and so we're gonna like increase suffering, in like this moderate, like short to moderate term, and we may never actually cross that threshold into like figuring as humans figuring out how to like handle a life without the wild.
Hmm.
That's my worry, and maybe I just don't know enough about like biology and stuff to know whether or not we can do that. But yeah, I just worry
Yeah.
that we can't get enough people on board that eventually we're just gonna cause lots of suffering, um, and then like we get rid of a bunch of predators, and then we just cause tons of amounts of suffering, lots of amounts of suffering to like the herbivores within those areas.
Hmm.
If that makes sense.
I wish I knew a little more about the biology of it all because that might be something that can't be helped in a sense. So, like, I think there's as much land as there is. The animals that exist, and if there was more land, then more animals would exist. So I think animals populate to a certain level, and once they're overpopulated, then they'll like disease will kind of take them over, and they'll die off. Because if you imagine if humans never existed, then nobody's telling those animals when to stop breeding. They're just going to
Yeah.
breed whatever feels natural, and so the same thing would happen. Whether you had zebras with lions or zebras with no lions, they're gonna breed whatever amount they're gonna breed, and it seems like with all animals, all mammals at least, it's almost across the board. 95% of any species does not make it to adulthood.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because everything's trying to survive, and the best will make it. And so I don't know if there is an issue there, but I wish I knew a little more about it. Like I'm sure there's so many animals that you could wipe out the entire species, and it's not going to drastically affect the ecosystem.
Yeah.
I mean, look before humans ever existed. There, plants were doing their thing for many, many billions of years, and then for hundreds of millions of years, all kinds of mammals were doing their thing before other mammals existed, and then different ones would go extinct and other ones would appear. At some point, there is a negative effect. From my understanding, most of life as we know it, ants have to exist and bees have to exist. Um, anyways, that stuff would be very awesome to know. But I want to question you on something really quick, because I believe you've said that you would eat animals to survive, right? Like the desert island question.
It's in most cases, yeah.
Knowing that you would, if you if you that same first question I had, a person was killing a person, and then I followed that with a lion killing a zebra. Let's say you're on this land, there's no laws, you're not in the U.S., you can do what you want, you won't get caught. A person's about to kill an animal. In the wild, they didn't factory farm this animal. This animal's in the wild, and we can just say that you know this person is morally equal to you. They're starving. They're killing this animal because they need to survive, just like you would on an island. Would you kill that person?
Um, no, but
Okay.
I would I would say real quick is that I in if I'm in a survival situation, I wouldn't um like survival situation in like we're talking about like on an island or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Um, so um I wouldn't necessarily kill an animal because it's survival. Um,
Hmm.
that may be like that would play into it. That wouldn't be the main reason, I don't think. Um, actually, no, it might be one of the main reasons, but um,
Yeah. So
I
let's
think
just say,
there's other things that come into play. Um,
yeah.
like I wouldn't um like I wouldn't um I guess torture an animal or something like that for survival or um
Gotcha.
like I think the fact that like they're in like on an island or like in the wild, I think that comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where like you're
Gotcha.
reducing their suffering on in a
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 Well, I'm just trying to. I want to find the line of where things sort of change a little bit. So, if a person's going to kill a person, you don't have any other information, and you have the opportunity to either kill or let them kill the other person, you kill the person. If a lion's going to kill the zebra, you don't have any other information. In that one-off case, at least, you're going to kill the lion to save the zebra.
yeah.
At what point? What's the situation going to look like where you're in the same location and a person's about to kill an animal? In Now we know in the one I just gave you, you would not kill the person. Is there a situation where a person's going to kill an animal where you have as little information as possible where you do kill the person? Because you kill the lion. And I know you value humans more than lions, and I agree. But like, could I describe a person that they're not Hitler or anything, but they're not going to do anything great for the world? I think the best hope for animals to have a good future of all life existence is through human intervention and innovation. But let's imagine that we can know this one off human is not going to benefit that in any way and not going to be a negative element of that in any way. And you don't know if they're going to kill another animal in the world, but they're about to kill this deer.
Yeah, so I think the main difference for me is just so the way it's killed. So it's like with the lion, um, like being eaten alive is not going to be very
Hmm.
pleasing. Where it's like with the human, you could do like a quick shot to the head and actually reduce its suffering because it's gonna most likely gonna suffer greatly in the wild. Um, if that
Okay.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Let me counter that real quick then. Okay, so the lion's going to make the zebra suffer, so you can just take out the lion quick. And another option, let's say you could either let nature take its course, the lion kills the zebra and the zebra suffers, or you could even just shoot the zebra. And either way, killing the lion or the zebra is probably better because the suffering you're talking about. But when we were talking about a human's going to kill another human, there's no suffering involved. So let's backtrack. If there was suffering involved, I know what your answer would be. But let me re-ask the question. Just back to the first one: a human's about to kill another human. You have no other knowledge, but they're going to do it quickly. There's no pain. Do you still kill the human that's going to kill another human?
Yeah.
How? What? Why? I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just curious.
Because I think humans on average live net positive lives. So you're robbing them of that happiness.
Oh, okay. So the lion that was going to kill the zebra, What if both the lion and the zebra you can know were going to live net positive lives? In fact, let's say they were both only going to live 2 more days. And so the lion didn't even need to kill another zebra after this one. It's going to kill this one and eat it. And then the zebra, both of them are going to die of natural causes in 48 hours, but they're going to both live equal lives.
Okay, so the lion and the zebra are both gonna live equal lives, but the
Mhm.
lion.
The lion's about to eat the zebra, and the lion's going to take the zebra out in seconds. It just right on the neck, just as quick as a gunshot could kill a lion, the lion would kill the zebra. Do you see a benefit in taking one out versus the other?
Um. So here, rephrase the question. I'm a little confused.
So you were saying that the reason that you would kill the human that's going to kill the other humans live net positive lives,
Yeah.
and I'm guessing what you mean by that is you think there's probably the person that's likely innocent deserves to live their net positive life more so than the one that was going to kill them, knowing that potentially they both could have net positive lives, or that the killer could have an even more positive life.
Yeah.
Intuition would just tell you that, knowing nothing else, since they might have equal, you feel like if you had to pick between two, a random person or a likely murderer, that something about the act of murdering makes you dislike that more than the act of standing still.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I guess that kind of answers the question with the lion then. Okay, that's that's interesting. Okay. Um, all right. Yeah. I think I went through my full string of questions. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what level of judgment do you have against humans? So like I'm guessing similar to myself, you would value somebody that eats venison from a kill they did hunting more so than beef purchased at the store with the no factory farming involved.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I think, like, yeah, hunting is far better than buying meat from the store for sure.
Gotcha. And then so with fishing, so let's ignore the idea of like big commercial fishers that like are destroying the ocean, but somebody just fishing with a hook, and let's say as soon as they pull the fish up, they kill it as quick as possible. Would you value fishing with your knowledge, without having just knowing that maybe there's 2 studies that exist that show that fish can suffer? I'm not doubting fish can suffer. They likely can suffer. And it seems like maybe lobsters do and maybe they don't. But I feel like if I were to rank things, I would rather kill and eat a bivalve than a lobster. But I'd rather kill and eat a lobster than a fish. And then I'd rather kill and eat a fish than a dog. Just as
Yeah.
far as like, it seems like fish are more likely sentient than lobsters, and lobsters more so than, uh, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. There's a hierarchy of sentience. Yeah.
yeah.
Probably.
Would if somebody felt that they needed deer meat to be healthy, and somebody else felt they needed fish to be healthy, all else equal, there's just 2 people. One's going to go fishing, and one's going to go shoot a deer. Do you have to? Do you think it's less moral to go fishing? Or sorry, less immoral to go fishing?
But I think fishing's a little bit different. Because I think so. Like my buddy Christian gives this comparison where he's like, imagine telling all your friends to like, hey, let's go waterboard some hamsters. It's like, I feel like the actual, you know, hooking them and dragging them out of the water, and like that causes a lot more suffering than like a quick rifle shot to a deer. I think it's a different.
Mm.
I think fishing is actually very bad, probably.
Oh, maybe. It looks sad, that's for sure. I think some people, probably most people, um, let their. I think we like to compare things to ourselves. So if something's more like us, then we can empathize with it more. And so with a animal, like if you poke a cow or a pig with a tack and blood comes out, it's gonna whine and whimper, and we're gonna see some blood. Where with a fish, since they can't make noises, maybe that's why a lot of people assume they can't feel pain because they come out of the water and they're um, but one thing that is kind of interesting, so I'm sure you're familiar with the zebrafish study where they basically gave it the same, like I think they put a hook through it and at one end of a tank that they didn't want to go to because there were no rocks and pretty plants over there. They put pain reliever over there, and then the fish, when they got the hook through the mouth and then the hook ripped back out, they swam to the pain reliever. So we that's the main study I know of why a lot of people view fish as being able to suffer. But one thing that I don't think has been studied yet is what amount of suffering truly is happening by being removed from water. Like certain things are reacting just to stimuli. Like I saw on the show Alone this this guy had I think it was the heart of a fish actually. After he gutted it and did this whole thing, but it was just sitting on a rock, and he would like tap it, and then it would go boom boom, and it would move, and then he would tap it again, and it's kind of disturbing to see. But it's just interesting to see that after something has been killed, head removed, gutted, all this stuff, that there's still like elements of how life works that thing that there'll be a stimuli that doesn't mean that there's pain or suffering necessarily.
Yeah.
And so I guess I think it would be interesting if there is a study or if future studies figure out how much pain and suffering there truly is from removing a fish from water.
There, I'm not crazy familiar with it, but there was a pretty big study that looked into like fish and then and lobster and then crab, and then they looked into um um like a little bit into shrimp, I think, and then like yeah they but there's a pretty big one that came out a few years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that
I'll
out. You should send it my
yeah
way.
yeah I'll look into it and then send it over.
Yeah. Um, gotcha. Okay. So as of right now, because I mean, we have to go with what we know, and we learn more things as we go. But based on your understanding of fish and fish being pulled out of water, even if you view a deer as higher sentience, you would rather a deer be shot and dead quick than a fish get pulled out of water and have that, like, let's say 15 seconds, maybe let's say 30 seconds of suffering versus a deer we'll call 5 seconds of suffering. As of right now, that would be your preference if only one fish and one deer were going to die.
Yeah.
Deer die. Okay. Yeah. I haven't been convinced enough that I think fish can feel the same level of pain as mammals. I think my intuition just goes there. For some reason, I just go with mammals can likely suffer more. If you squish an ant in half, like you just squish half of it and it's flailing about, I'm guessing there's a little bit of suffering in there, but I'm guessing they don't have the capability of suffering in any level of what we can view the suffering of, like stabbing a knife into the back of a deer or a back of a pig or something. And even if it's going to heal from that knife wound or whatever, I feel like an ant being squished in half. And so same with fish. I wonder if you could torture a fish enough to make it suffer the amount a mammal could suffer for 10 seconds. And it's a weird thought. This is just me making this up off the top of my head of what seems right. But maybe when I read that study you're going to send, I'll feel differently. I mean, I already accept that fish suffer, but I just wouldn't guess it would be anywhere near as much. But
You think they're like closer on like the insect scale than they are on like the mammal scale?
closer for sure, yeah. Um, but I don't know why I think that necessarily. Just without having looked into it, you kind of have to if you're gonna guess, you got to guess, and so uh, there's so much controversy about it that like nobody in their right mind, even the ones that love to eat all the animals, will say like pigs can't feel or cows can't feel. But
Unless
it
you're
seems
Destiny.
yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like many intelligent people and maybe even I don't know if it's fair to say many scientists, but it seems to be that there's still question about it, and the fact that question could exist within that realm, and the fact that they aren't mammals, and we seem to have a more of a clear understanding of mammals. I don't know. I just off the top of my head, I would have to say if somebody were to shoot a deer and it didn't die instantly and it suffered for like 5 minutes, I'd be more bummed out about that than if somebody went fishing and caught like a couple hundred fish and took them out of their misery as soon as they came out of the water. But I don't even know how much misery that is. So yeah, like yeah. Yeah, like if humans magically were out in space and they couldn't breathe, I wonder how much of it would be like a frightened, like I don't have the thing I need and it's freaking me out because it's taking my life away, versus how much of it feels like that pain to be like stabbed or something. Not that that would even tell us anything, but it'd just be interesting to know. Like pain and suffering is just such an interesting thing versus what's how our bodies react to things. So maybe I should go to school for biology and find out. But yeah,
Interesting stuff.
yeah. But anyways, that's a good talk. There's a couple people I have lined up to talk to about this topic, so I'll probably have them check out this talk, and we'll just I'll bounce ideas off of people based on their reactions to your takes on it. But I think we mostly agree. I mean on a handful of things, especially the suffering aspect. But anyways, it was a good talk. I better hop off here. But let's set up another one soon, especially when I have a little more time and when you're better from your illness.
Sounds good.
All right, take care, man.
Peace, peace.